All right, so we'll start with this board meeting. We'll begin with the land acknowledgement. So the Wilfrid Laurier Students Union Board of Directors acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee people. All right, I will call this meeting to order. I have two regrets from Director Ejam and Director Rubinoff. They're both out of the country right now, and the time difference is a little difficult to attend the meeting, so they both emailed me their regrets. And I don't think there's any other regrets. Everyone else is here. Okay. Does anyone have any conflicts of interest to declare for this meeting? No? All right. So we'll move into the adoption of the agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt the meeting agenda as presented? Motion by Director Russolo, seconded by Director Habit-Michael. Any discussion on the matter? All right, we'll move into voting. All those opposed? All those abstaining? And all those in favor? All right, vote passes 0-0 to 10. All right, moving on into the comments from the chair of the board and CGO. The only thing I would have to say is just, can you all please make sure to RSVP to the meeting invites? Simply just clicking the yes box in the calendar invite is good enough. That way we can keep track of who is going to be there. If you cannot attend though, if you could just send me an email with your regrets, that would be great. But you only have to send me an email if you can't come. If you're coming, then you can just press the yes. Yeah, that's it for me. And thank you everyone for coming to this meeting. Moving on to comments from the president and CEO, President Jesso.
Awesome. Cool. Nice to see everybody. I got a good amount for you folks tonight. So biggest thing right now is working through our annual planning process with the VPs. We're hoping to have a final product to present to you folks for the July meeting. So aiming for July 8th on that front. Like you might have saw in my email earlier today, we did sign our MOU with the Greek Life Council for the year, which is great. So we're going to set up regular meetings with them come August because their president is away working at a summer camp until then. Big project for Phil and I was just wrapped up our participation in the Student Affairs External Review. So a couple of senior student affairs leaders from other schools came in to do a review of what senior student affairs leadership looks like at Laurier and kind of what the department structure might look like going forward. As some of you might know, the VP Student Affairs retired back in February. We have an interim one right now to just kind of get a better idea of what the future might look like there. Other than that, we've had a lot of intro meetings with a couple of campus partners, worked at some recruitment admissions events, and then working on setting up a campus working group with a couple folks from Student Affairs on what campus community and kind of the sense of belonging at Laurier might look like. So I had a meeting about that this morning. The one kind of larger update for you folks, which you might have seen in the agenda package as well, a bit of a budget update. So you have a briefing note from our Director of Finance and Administration, Chris. The short version of it is that our team caught an error in some of our department budgets where some line items from the detailed budget breakdowns that we use didn't make their way into the more consolidated budget and therefore didn't make their way into the BOD report that was approved at the end of April. As Chris said in his briefing note, we're able to make some adjustments to our contingency funding to account for those updates. So no changes to overall financial position. We wanted to keep you folks aware about that change. That's about it for me, but if anyone has any questions, happy to answer them.
Yeah, I actually had a quick question about the briefing note.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to pull it up here, but oh, that's the wrong thing. I think there might be a typo in it, unless I'm reading it wrong. At the end, the ending line, it says but instead of by. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be but. Like it says excluding line items but reducing, or is that supposed to be but or by? I'm not too sure.
Probably meant to be by my reading of it. Fillery, and correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it's the correct word. It's
Okay.
basically showing that one's going up and one's going down. If I'm reading that correctly, which is entirely possible, I'm not. No, it's supposed to be by. You're correct.
Okay.
But
I'm
also
just
not
reading it and I was like,
BU.
I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
That's fine. I don't know if you guys have to change it or what, but
We will,
it's not
we will publicly shame Chris tomorrow when we get back to work.
perfect. Yeah, no, it's not really a big deal. All right. And then I also just noticed in either one, Ben or Phil, the one not the briefing, the other document that you guys shared, it said that the food bank parcels are available in Waterloo. Are they also available in Brantford's campus or just Waterloo's?
Yeah, both campuses' food bank operations are up and running.
Okay, perfect. And then I also noticed about the Wilfs project. It said it's supposed to be completed in fall 2025. When will construction begin for that? Do you guys know yet?
That's a little bit more of a complicated question. If everything goes according to plan, we will likely end up closing Wills a little bit early in April of 25. And construction will take place over the course of the summer months. The board will have ample time and information to weigh in on that project because there is a pretty significant price tag attached to that. And we have a few other projects that will have pretty significant price tags attached to it, and we don't have unlimited funds. So it's a matter of what's the priority, et cetera, and how can we kind of execute the best possible vision with minimal financial impact on the organization and the lives of students. So again, if it goes according to plan, April of 25 to September 25. But we're a long ways away from that, and you guys will have ample time to kind of weigh in on that project as we start to put facts and figures together.
Perfect. Yeah, I was just kind of wondering if you guys are gonna have to close it early for construction, but just a little bit. It's not bad. Does anyone else have any questions for Ben? I think Phil, you still have your update. I don't know if you have anything for the update, but
Yeah, I can go now if you want.
yeah. Does anyone have any questions for Ben then? If just to
I just had a question. I'm not sure
Yeah.
who's supposed to answer it, but board last board chair Muhammad Abu Rashid, he told me that there was supposed to be some kind of fee associated with the charging stations on campus, especially Brantford. So I was wondering if that's still something that's gonna be in place or if it's not gonna happen anymore.
I don't totally know what charging stations you're referring to, unless
Charging
Phil.
stations for vehicles on the Laurier lots. So the flow charging stations. So I'm not sure if you're supposed to answer that or somebody else supposed to answer that, but I just wanted to, because it's something that I spoke to board chair Muhammad about. So
Very, very quickly, we don't have that information. So essentially, we're worried that that charge is like students are being charged to charge their vehicles, or I'm not sure what.
Yeah, students will be charged to charge their vehicles, other than the fee that they already have for the lots. So I was just wondering if that's still gonna be the case or not.
So we don't have that information, but if the board wants us to look into that information, you guys can kind of make a motion, and President Ben Jesso will get us on it, and we will get that information and have it ready for you no later than the July board meeting.
Okay.
So we can make a motion if you want, Director Teddy, if you want to.
Sure.
Okay, so do you want to make the motion of just looking into, you can just say I motion to and then like look into the, if you want to do
Okay,
that.
I motion to look into the parking the EV chargers parking fees. So those who motion yes.
So
Uh,
we need a seconder on the motion first. So you motion and then just a seconder on the motion.
Seconder on the motion, please.
And you, seconded by Director Habib Michael, and then any discussion on the matter? All right, yeah, Director.
I just have a quick clarification question. Is this Brantford campus specific?
Yes, I would say Brantford campus specific, but we would like to know if it's also affecting the Waterloo campus as well.
Okay.
All right, so no discussion, any abstentions or any opposing, sorry? Any abstentions? And then all those in favor of the motion? All right, so I'll pass 0 to 10. So we'll get that information for you, or Ben will get it for you and then get back to you
Thank you.
with that. Thank you for the question. Any more questions for Ben? Yep, Director Nakishatra.
Yeah, I had a question about the Greek Life Council. So I know we're coordinating on a lot of things together. Are we also actively promoting their events on our website? Or are we just kind of doing it behind the scenes?
So built into the MOU, there is some language around promotion of philanthropy events for Greek Life. The details of that aren't super built out in the MOU. We'll work closely with our marketing team to see what's possible. I don't think it's been done on the website in the past, but kind of they can ask whatever they want, and then we'll work with Ashley, our director of marketing, and her team to see what's possible on our end.
All right. Any more questions for Ben? Yep, Director Howard Michael.
Hi, Ben. Alright, so my question is very simple. I do know that there's some so like let's say there's a sorority or fraternity that acts in a way that they shouldn't be acting, for example. Are there any methods built into the MOU where the students union or the board of directors can hold a certain sorority or fraternity accountable, or do we have to go through the Greek Life Council, or is there like what is built in place for such a situation or
Yeah,
circumstance?
so we wouldn't do anything to hold a Greek Life organization accountable because they're not official students union organizations. There's language built in there regarding the student non-academic code of conduct, so we'd work closely with our partners in student affairs on that one. And then there are termination clauses built in if things are going really awry. Our operations team has the ability to kind of terminate the MOU mid-year if there's cause to do so.
Yep.
So I do see in the MOU where it says that the Greek Life Council could be held accountable in a sense, where they can choose between staying within the MOU or completely foregoing a fraternity or sorority in that sense. Is that right? So essentially, right? Okay. Okay. That was a very good job, by the way. Good job. Anyways, thank you.
All right. Any more questions for Ben? If not, if you guys don't have any right now, you can always ask them throughout the meeting. If there's none, we'll move on to the comments from the executive director and COO, Director Champagne.
Yeah, I don't really have a ton. I'll give Ben 10 out of 10. No notes on his updates. He definitely used a lot of the updates that I was going to use, so that's awesome. In terms of some of the things that are ongoing that he may have touched on, so for example, we have an extension with the SAAA, which is the Student Affairs Advisory Agreement, that we are waiting to see what the future of the leadership structure for student affairs will look like. So that we can kind of continue discussions on the future of the funding of that department. We also have currently outstanding is the operating procedures agreement with the university. They've had a pretty key figurehead within the Department of Finance resign from their position, and they were the project lead on the renegotiation of the operating procedures agreement. So we're in the process of working with our partners in finance to try to circle up and get that work started again. So long story short, not a whole lot to update on some outstanding agreements, but it is work in progress. And now that we are, for all intents and purposes, on the other side of onboarding Ben and his team, we can start to focus on the work of getting that stuff done.
Perfect. Does anyone have any questions for Phil? No? All right. So we can move on. Next on the agenda is the hiring update of the governance coordinator. So Ian and I did hire a governance coordinator. Her name is Jenna. And she's a student on the Waterloo campus. And she is going to be responsible for filling out the meeting agendas and emailing the meeting information to you guys for the rest of the meetings. And then she's also responsible for running the elections in January. So she'll be attending our meetings from now on, probably starting in July. And yeah, so if you get an email from Jenna, she's a governance coordinator, so it's all good. Yeah, and then on the board secretary hiring, I believe the notice was posted. If I'm not wrong, Ian, was the notice posted?
If it hasn't been yet, it will be out very shortly.
Okay. So then that'll be figured out probably by the end of the summer, hopefully, who the board secretary is. But they can just rewatch the recordings and take notes or the meeting minutes, and then we can approve them when they're all ready for that. Yeah, that's it for the hiring updates. Does anyone have any questions about those? No? All right, so we'll move on to the executive succession, and this is by President Jusso.
Awesome. Yeah, this shouldn't take too long. So in accordance with the policy, I'm forgetting the one off the top of my head. Ian could probably quote it better than I could. But I've chosen Sarah Hudson, our VP of Volunteer Operations, to be our acting interim president whenever I'm away. So the official document is in your board package. But if I'm ever not here, Sarah will be, and we work pretty close together day to day, so she'll be updated on everything as needed.
Perfect. Yeah, Ian just said it's EL2H for reference. It also has all the policies in the agenda as well, in case anyone's wondering. And we don't have to do anything for that, I don't think. I think that's, yeah, no decision. All right. Moving on to the committee elections. So first, we're going to do the 2 direct inspection committees. So for this one, there are GP1, which is governance processes. That was the one you saw in the policy manual. It's pretty short. And then the other one is BMD2B, accountability of the president. This one's also pretty short as well. So if it's okay with you guys, we'll just have the same committee do both during the same meeting. The whole meeting will probably only take about 30 minutes. And we'll do that meeting before sometime in the rest of June to get it done before the July meeting. So we need 2 directors on these inspection committees. It'll be myself and then 2 of you guys. So does anyone want to be up for nomination for the direct inspection committees? Or the one, we'll do GP number 1 first, and then we'll have to do the other one. Nicole?
Just have a quick question. Is this for the policy inspection
Yeah.
role?
Yeah. So direct inspection committees are just reviewing policy.
Okay.
So the
And then,
yeah.
okay, because I reviewed them, but then I heard you say the 2 different ones, so I just want to make sure, like, I know that that's the right role.
Yeah. So first, I think we have to do separate elections for the both, if I'm not wrong. I don't know.
Given that you're doing both the same directors, you could do a
Joint
vote
one?
for both. Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. So does anyone want to nominate themselves, nominate someone else for the direct inspection one? The meeting will probably, there's only one meeting and it'll probably take about 30 minutes. So Director Habib-Michael?
I'd like to nominate Director Lecheka for the committee role.
All right. Director Lecheka, do you stand? Does that mean, so that means do you want to be on the committee or not?
Yes, I stand. Also, it's Leheka.
Leheka, perfect.
No
Okay.
problem.
Leheka, perfect. All right, so we have one, and then we just need another director. Does anyone else want to nominate themselves, nominate someone else? Yep, Director Godse Shaw? You'll nominate yourself? Is that?
Yeah, I'm gonna nominate myself.
Okay, so I'm assuming that you stand. I don't have to say stand. All right, so both the directors stand, so we just have to move into voting to elect the 2 directors to the direct inspection committees. So do I have to motion for this vote?
Yeah, you'll need a motion.
Okay, so can I get a motion that we elect myself, Director Leheka, and then Director Godse Shaw to the GP1 Governance Processes Direct Inspection Committee, and then BMD to be Accountability of the President Direct Inspection Committees? Director Russolo, seconded by Director Bunket. Can I get, is there any discussion on the matter? Does anyone have any questions or anything? No? All right, move into voting. So all those opposed? Director Tariq? No, okay. All those abstaining? And then all those in favor? All right. Do we have to, if we're on the committee, do we have to abstain?
I mean, it's not really necessary. It could be considered a conflict, but because there's consensus, and there
Okay.
was an election, there's not really any real conflict.
Okay.
Some people in the past have liked to abstain just for procedural sake, but it's not really an issue.
Okay. So we'll just say 0 to 10 if everyone was for it. All right. And I'll send an email to you two about meeting sometime in June to do that meeting. All right, moving on to direct inspection or ownership linkage committee. So this one we need 4 directors and myself, and then 1 director has to be from Brantford. So either Director Tariq or Director Godse Shaw, you guys are gonna have to, one of you guys are gonna have to be on it. And the ownership linkage committee is involved with like engagement and establishing a presence on campus. So some events we did last year was boothing, doing board dinners. Another year they did like an alumni panel. So the role of the committee is to come up with ideas for events to become engaged with the students. And then this committee meets more frequently, probably like once every 2 months. I guess bi-weekly maybe. Is that? I don't know. I think. Ian, do you know when they met last year? Like how often?
It really varies from year to year. So you'll see that there's a kind of bi-monthly report to the board to kind of update on the work that's being done. So it's usually dependent on what each board has wanted to focus on with ownership linkage. So it's not a one and done like a direct inspection committee, but it's kind of the work is more spread out over the course of the year, and definitely like probably some planning in the summer, general planning, and then when you have decided what kind of events or engagement pieces you want to do throughout the term, it's more making sure you're available. One of the other key touch points would be the Get Involved fair during orientation has generally been a key point of engagement, stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. So for the summer, we're definitely going to meet once, the ownership linkage committee, and then throughout the school year, we can decide like an appropriate meeting schedule. So does anyone want to put in nominations for themselves or for someone else? Yeah, Director Spiritu.
I'd like to stand for the role myself. I'd like to nominate Director Natalie for the
All
other
right. So you
one.
nominated yourself, and then you also have Director Bunket. Director Bunket, do you stand for the nomination?
Stand.
You do? All right. So, and there doesn't have to be a maximum number of directors on the committee. We can have as many people as there needs to be. Director Laheka.
I nominate Director Rusolo.
All right. Director Rusolo, do you stand?
I stand.
All right. And then you also have your hand up. Did you want to nominate someone or yourself?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Director Habtemichael.
All right. Director Habtemichael, do you stand?
I do stand, yes.
All right. And then, yep.
Yeah, I also like to nominate Director Leheka.
All right. Director Laheka, do you stand?
I do stand.
Perfect. All right. And then Director Bunket, did you have a question or a nomination?
I would like to nominate Director St. George.
All right. Director St. George, do you stand?
No, thank you.
All right. Yep, Director Godse Shaw.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Director Tariq.
All right. Director Tariq, do you stand?
I stand.
Perfect. All right. So we have our Brantford director. Director Godse Shaw, did you also want to be on the committee, or you're okay? You're good? All right. So does anyone else want to nominate themselves or nominate someone else? All right. And I also had a message from Director Rubinoff, who also wanted to be on the committee. So he's also up for nomination as well. Director Godse Shaw, did you have oh, you're good. Okay. Your hands down. All right. So we have Director Rubinoff, Director Tariq, Director Laheka, Director Rusolo, Director Habtemichael, Director Spiritu, and Director Bunket. Right, Natalie? All right. Perfect. All right, so we have to move into voting. So can I have a motion to nominate director, or yeah, is it nominate? I think it's nominate. Yeah, it's like nominating them to the board. Is that, or is it?
Yeah, it would be a motion to elect them to the board. Yes.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm just writing down everyone's names. And all right, so can I get a motion to elect Director Lehecka, Director Bunket, Director Spiritu, Director Rubinoff, Director Habib Michael, Director Rusolo, and Director Tariq, and myself to the Ownership Linkage Committee. Motion by Director Bunket, seconded by Director Habib Michael. Move into discussion. Does anyone have any discussion on the matter? No? All right. All those opposed? All those abstaining? And all those in favor? All right, motion passes 0 to 10. All right, perfect. So with that committee, we're gonna try and meet before the August meeting so we can get the report presented at the August meeting. And I'll send out an email to you guys at the near the end of June about meeting in July at some point. All right. So, all right, next is the strategic governance and education presentation opportunities. So last year we had a couple presentations from certain groups and individuals in the Laurier community. So for example, some of them, we had the special constables come in, we had the dean of students who discussed housing issues. We had an EDI presentation, and athletics and recreation came in and presented their plan for the referendum. So we have to start thinking about who we want to come in and talk to the board to give their perspective of like their role in the Laurier community and to keep us updated about what's going on in different parts of the school. So I'm just bringing this topic up. If anyone has any ideas off the top of their head that maybe they would, groups that they want to hear from or they want to come and present to the board. If you don't have any right now, that's fine. You can just send me an email. You can bring it up. I'm going to bring it up at the next board meeting as well. So I'll give you guys some time to think about who you want to come and talk to the board. Yeah. So does anyone have any questions about it? Any ideas off the top of your head? Yeah, Director Champagne. I don't know what you're pointing at.
Sorry, I guess not everybody has the same set of squares as me, but I'll defer to Luda.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, Director Habib Michael.
Sorry, an idea that I had for someone to bring into the board meeting could be the director of equity. And then we could, at Laurier especially, and then we could get the report on how equity and all of that good stuff is happening, the Golden Hawk Committee especially, because that is something that's important to look at. But that's my idea. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you. Yep, Director Champagne.
I'm gonna have my own, and then I'm gonna add on to that, but I'm gonna add on to that first. So it's actually really good timing because the AVP for equity, diversity, and inclusion, Andrea Davis, is set to start at the beginning of August. I believe August 8th is her start date. And we are very excited to have her come in and start doing some work in that portfolio on a full-time continuing basis. Dr. Vanessa Oliver has done an excellent job while we waited to find her. So maybe there's an opportunity early on in the fall semester to kind of invite her and her team to discuss all of the equity work that's being done across the institution, both academically as well as on the student level. I think that's a wonderful idea. And then might be a nice way to kind of introduce the overall survey that we'll be sending out to students in October with their EDI experience with the Students Union specifically. So there's lots of natural kind of flow there. So excellent suggestion. My recommendation was going to be, and I don't know exactly the timelines on this one, but eventually there's going to be a new leader within the Department of Student Affairs or the Office of Student Affairs. So inviting that person in as they kind of figure out whether it's going to be a new VP or a senior leader in there, that department, having them come and talk to you guys about their vision for that department moving forward, I think would be really important.
Yeah, I like that idea as well. Do you know when that position will be filled?
So the external reviewers met with all of the folks that they needed to meet with last week. So on Thursday and Friday, their report is expected, I want to say July 2nd. And then the president of the university, Dr. McClatchy, and David McMurray, and whomever else needs to, will kind of review that document. We have put our names in that particular hat to say, hey, as key cogs in the student affairs world, we would like an opportunity to review that report before any decisions are made and have a discussion about the vision with the university, president of the university. So it all depends on what that recommendation is from those reviewers and whether or not the university wants to say, okay, that sounds like a good idea, or okay, thanks for that hard work, we're just going to go in this direction over here. But I know that David McMurray's contract is set to expire, I believe, at the end of this calendar year, with the hopes that whatever the future leadership of student affairs looks like will be in place for January of 25. And I have not heard anything to say that that timeline has been altered yet, but I guess we'll find out in early July.
All right, so we'll see. It could be a fall, it could be a winter presentation,
Yeah.
not sure yet. All right. Yeah, if no one else has any ideas right now, you can just think it over. If you think of anything, you can just send me an email. Yep, Director Champagne.
I have lots of ideas if you're willing to listen to them. So the Department of Sustainability within Facility Assets Management, they are almost completely funded by student fees. So I think having them in to kind of talk about how they're being accountable to student dollars would be an excellent opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And in order to invite someone, the board has to vote on it, correct? We vote on like presentations. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we're not going to vote on anything tonight, but everyone can kind of like think it over, and then maybe next meeting we can vote on someone to come in eventually, like early, and then as the year goes by, then we can bring in anyone else. But yeah, Phil, if you have like other ideas, you can just send me an email as well, and then I can put them into, if we're like gonna like think about inviting people, I can just bring them up, and then you can do that. Does anyone have any questions or any other recommendations at the moment? No? All right. So you can just send me an email or bring it up at the next meeting if you guys think of anything. But yeah, just anyone or any group, any person that you think you'd be beneficial to hear from, hear how they're impacting students, groups that you're interested in, we can bring in. They'll likely say yes because the board's pretty like has a substantial power in the students union. So the odds of them saying yes is pretty high. All right. So moving on to the professional development opportunities. Again, this is just kind of like an intro to the professional development opportunities that the board has. So there is some budget saved for the board to participate in professional development opportunities and training. So there's the last board chair, Director Mohammed, he was thinking about doing like a board of director certification so that you get the certification and then you can join other board of directors like in the future, like when you're actually employed and stuff. So that's kind of like one idea. Just like any professional development training that would benefit you being on the board, and then also maybe tie into like future employment, like that would benefit you in future employment. So if anyone is interested in board training, we don't have to do it. We didn't use the budget last year, but it is available for us. So if you guys feel strongly about a certain training opportunity that you would like to participate in, again, you can email me about them. We'll talk about it at the next meeting as well. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there so you guys knew that there's some budget available for some training. Yeah, does anyone have any questions or any comments or anything about that? No? All right. All right, so moving on, is there any announcements? I don't think so. All right. Action items summary. I don't think there's too much. I'll just send some emails out about the committee's meeting. The direct inspection committee will meet sometime before the July meeting, so probably in a couple weeks. And then I'll send an email out to the ownership linkage committee at the end of July about meeting before the August meeting. And then kind of like a little task for you guys, I guess, come up with some presentations that you guys would want to see throughout the year. And then also any professional development opportunities that maybe you'd want to participate in. All right. Does anyone have anything else that they want to say, comment, questions for anyone? No? All right. So we'll move on to the adjournment of the meeting. So can I get a motion to adjourn the June 3rd, 2024 Board of Directors meeting? Motion by Director Tariq, seconded by Director Nakishatra. Is there any discussion on the matter? As I see none, we'll move into voting. All those opposed? All those abstaining? And all those in favor? All right, vote passes 0-0 to 10. Thank you everyone for coming. Have a good night.